What good is having a workflow process or a client log if you have no idea if and when someone assigns something to you? That's the whole reason TPS has an alert system. Let me show you how it works. Really, it's an area that's kind of like a "what do I have going on for today" section. It's used in two ways. It's a good way for you to know throughout the workday if someone has assigned something new to you. Likewise, when you assign something to someone else, you can be sure they'll get an alert. Also, when you come into work first thing in the morning and you start up TPS, you can check what you need to take care of for today. The alerts give you an easy way to do that. Take a look at this little bell icon up here. You can see I have one new task assigned to me because of the red dot with the number 1 in it. When you click on it, you get this detailed list. Here we have two tabs, Client Items and Workflow Items. Client items are anything that has been assigned to you using the client log. So, for example, if your boss wants you to email a client on or before a certain date, or contact them by phone or correspond with the client in any other way, you'll see it here. Everything you see in red is overdue and probably deserves your immediate attention. The new ones assigned to me are down here at the bottom, and you can see that they are not in red. They're not really calling my attention as something that really needs to be taken care of right this instant. So let's break down this screen. First column is overdue. Like I said, you can tell right away if they're overdue because they're in red, but you also see that it says yes or it says no. You can see the type, so whether it's a phone, email, invoice, etc. You can see the event date, which is the date this was created. You can see the client it involves, which is also the client where this task will be automatically added to their client log. You can see the employee responsible, which is me. I'm logged in as Alex. If I were too busy and just couldn't get to this, or maybe it was assigned to me and shouldn't have been, or any other reason you might want to pass this on to someone else, you can change the employee responsible by clicking in here and just changing the name, typing in their name, picking somebody else. And when you do that, it will leave your list and it will be added to theirs, giving them a new alert. The progress log, when the person created this task for you, they have the option to type something into the description field. So like the original notes or details. You can click in here to add to this as you make progress. I wouldn't advise erasing the original note, but maybe add to the end of it something like "called the client and he was on vacation, we'll try again next week," whatever progress you've made with this. The follow-up date is the date that was set as the completed by date when it was originally created, meaning the date you need to complete this by, or at least follow up with it by. You have the ability to change this if you will be trying to contact the client again later on. Or you could always mark it as complete here if you just wanted to get this alert off of your item list, and then go to the client log and start a new task for yourself to remind you to follow up later. That's completely up to you. You can change it or create a whole new one. How you handle that is up to you. Once you put in a completion date, it will remove this task from your alert screen. However, it will always remain in the client log. This little box here that says red, this allows you to manually mark it to say that you saw it and have read it. When you do that, it will also show as read in the client log. So if someone goes into the client log to check the status, they will be able to see that you've read it. It's important to note that if you are reassigning this to someone else, you should uncheck this box. That way, when they receive it, it'll be up to them to mark it when they've read it. The Actions column is where you'll be able to view documents if there are any attached to it, like this one down here. For example, if in the client log someone sent an invoice to a client, and they have set a follow-up date to it and assigned it to you to call and follow up with this client, you would be able to click View Document to see the invoice you're referencing. It will download here like mine just did, and then if I click on it, I'll be able to see the actual invoice created. And there's my invoice. So back here in TPS in the alert screen, I'm going to go ahead and mark one of these as complete just so I can show you how it disappears from the screen once I hit the refresh button. So let's do this one here. It's complete. Click out of it. You can see it has a completion date. Once I hit refresh, it disappears from my list. Now my filters button in here allows me to filter for specific items. At some point you may have a lot of different things assigned to you and you want to look for only ones relating to maybe a specific client, or you want to look for a specific type, maybe just emails or phone calls or invoices. Or you want to check event date from to event date to, follow-up date from to follow-up date to, and then you would just click search as usual to filter for whatever you put in here. And then you can reset your filters, and I will close my filters now, and let's move over to the workflow items section. Now workflow items are only the items specific to the workflow process that have been assigned to you. Again, you can see the ones that are overdue in red, and over here you have the column that tells you whether they're overdue or not. You can see the due date and the due date time, the client it relates to, the work code being used for this workflow event, the status that they're in, and then if I click the edit button, for example for this one here, we have two different tabs here. We have employee calendar and workflow entry. So on my specific employee calendar, I can modify the date, time, and description of this workflow event. Then I can save. I can create a time entry straight from here. Now this time entry is just like doing a time entry over here, the time entry icon, only it's being attached to this workflow event. So you're actually doing it right from in here. So you just fill out this information like you usually would, click OK, and then if you were to come over here to the time entry screen, you'd actually see this as a line of time entry there. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Delete entry will allow you to delete this instance of this workflow event from your employee calendar. So we'll take it off your calendar completely. Usually that's not what you're aiming to do. Common practice would be to either reassign the event to someone else or to mark it as complete in the workflow entry if the work is completed. Even in the case that an event does need to be deleted, as in the firm is no longer doing this task for a client, or any other reason you may have to delete it, that's usually taken care of from the Client Properties Workflow tab or from the firm calendar, which will give you the options to delete just that one instance, all the ones going forward, and etc. If I click the Workflow Entry tab, it will allow me to see the main workflow entry information if I have permissions set for that. That can be changed in the Employee section under the Rights or Permission tab. If I do have permissions, I will be able to edit the information accordingly. So as you come in and log into TPS in the morning, check out your alerts to see if you have pending items that really need your attention. It's meant to make your life easier, and we really hope you find it useful.